It's time for another blast from the past from Martin Guitars. Today, Cooper and I are going to be looking at this 1937 authentic D-28. Stay tuned. Hey, you're watching Alamo Music TV. My name is Chris McKee.
And I'm Cooper Greenberg.
We're here with Alamo Music Center in San Antonio, Texas. You can find us online at alamomusic.com. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications, like our videos. If you want to support the channel, visit our spring store link below for custom swag and check out our podcast, the Fretboard Confessional, wherever you get podcasts. We'll be doing new episodes of that shortly.
Give us a break. It's busy time of year.
It's busy.
Right?
But I'm excited to do this guitar. We did a D-18 1937 authentic, which, spoiler, we each did our 5 favorite guitars we had reviewed in 2022 prior to this video. That was on my list.
Yeah, that's an amazing guitar. I tried in that list to be like, oh, stuff that was released this year, you know, but if I had to pick any guitar, I mean, we said in that video.
It was just such an amazing guitar.
Incredible.
And this is like that. I really like what Martin's doing with their authentic stuff, you know? Mm-hmm. It's basically taking the most sought after vintage Martins, which are pre-war Martins, and building them, you know, in that same way. Mm-hmm. And this is a great example, a great specimen of that. I think the specs on this indicate that there was a winning formula that Martin had at that time. That is what makes those vintage guitars so good. It's not just time that makes a vintage guitar good. It's what made that guitar good to start with. Yeah, it's a great example.
Yeah, so we did the 18 being mahogany. Mm-hmm. The big deal is when they switched over, I think it was this year, from Madagascar, it is now Guatemalan.
Guatemalan Rosewood.
So to start, sorry.
It's off-gassing.
Sorry. But yeah.
New nitro.
Beautiful, set on this guitar.
It really is. For a lot of people, it will often remind them of Brazilian Rosewood. And really, Guatemalan Rosewood is utilized as an alternative to Brazilian Rosewood. It's also, if you're doing research, sometimes called Yucatan Rosewood. And as far as Rosewoods go, a lot of Rosewoods are very, very different. Truth be told, East Indian Rosewood is a lot like Brazilian Rosewood. Guatemalan Rosewood is a lot like Brazilian Rosewood. When you look at some other Rosewoods, like Cocobolo is a Rosewood, but it's far denser, and so the tone profile is very, very different. This has a wonderful richness to it, a lot of nice warm bass and overtones, and it looks fantastic.
Yeah, and then, of course, since it's after the 37, this is Adirondack spruce. Mm-hmm. Now, don't they do a few different options within 37 so you can get it non-VTS with VTS and then aged? Isn't that the case?
I think at this point for this series, they're just saying
they're
VTS.
Just doing VTS.
So It's an Adirondack top, bracing, scalloped, forward shifted, and it's got the VTS treatment.
Yeah.
Which is check all the boxes.
Really
why would you not do that?
Yeah.
Well, why would you? No, I want a non-aged top, or I want Sitka when I could have Adirondack.
Yeah.
No, that's the wrong answer.
The combination of the best rosewood, the best spruce, the VTS, it really just, I was talking to somebody in the store the other day about how the word canon is kind of overused at this point. Mm-hmm. It's like if a guitar is loud, you're just like, oh, it's a canon. This is the true definition of that. And yeah.
Well, and what I also love about it, and I'm going to just go ahead and ruffle some feathers here, it is a real D-28. And by that, I mean it's the original D-28. It's got the scalloped bracing, forward shifted with the herringbone trim. Nowadays, we have to call that the HD-28 because at some point, Martin screwed up this recipe. But that new recipe had fans. Some people liked New Coke. I didn't like New Coke.
He likes that 80s Coke, you know what I'm saying?
I like the original formula. And so in this guitar, I like the original formula. I prefer the HD-28 now. I really like these original D-28s.
Yeah.
Fight me.
And the neck profile on this one, if you go online, it's called the big ol' neck.
It's called Chunky Boy.
Yeah, this is a heavy-duty neck. And,
it's not uncomfortable, though.
It's not uncomfortable. It's just thick in a good way. Yeah.
Yeah.
With 2 C's.
It's got a 1 3/4 inch nut width, which I prefer. I think a lot of people do. Martin's moved to that with their standard series. But yes, this is a fuller profile. It's a lot rounder. So it is like a C shape.
Yeah.
Maybe heading to a D shape. There's a lot more on the shoulders and just a thickness to the neck. but it's nice and round and comfortable. It's not like a V neck that's really pronounced that some people might be uncomfortable with.
Yeah, and got the volute, got the real deal, Waverly, open gears. The finish on this guitar is called the Chris McKee Special, the Knockdown Nitro.
Yeah, they call this vintage gloss. It's a very thin nitro.
Yeah.
And yeah, like we've said, I prefer more and more this kind of satin or knockdown semi-gloss look.
Yeah.
And this has that. And so, yeah, I really like it. Now, that being said, it's a very, very thin finish. And one of the things we were talking about before we started filming was, I think a lot of manufacturers over the years have made choices because of warranty claims or because of what customers' expectations are. And some people will buy a guitar and their expectation is that 20 years later, that guitar looks like it looked the day they bought it, provided that they took care of it. And I don't know that that's realistic to be able to have that expectation and have the very best guitar.
Yeah.
Because the thinner the finish, the better the instrument's going to be, but the more it's going to wear over time. So just FYI, if you never play this guitar, it wouldn't wear, but that would be a travesty on its own.
Yeah, and when it wears, it's going to do it the right way. I mean,
Yeah.
it's all the right components to wear into a true heirloom instrument. It does have the hide glue construction on the neck joint and everything. I mean, the bones are there for top of the line.
Yeah.
Exactly what you want.
Other cool things about the vintage aspect of this, I like that they use Guatemalan Rosewood for the headstock
Yeah.
overlay. I like it's got the long saddle down there
Long
at the
saddle.
pickup.
It's got the cool kind of golden arrow logo
Yep.
right there.
Yep. That's what when we do customs, a lot of times that's what we end up choosing because I really like that logo. On the long saddle, since we're talking about though, if you were to purchase an instrument like this, and I've said this on customs we've done before, and you ever want to amplify it, because if you're crazy like me, you want to perform with your guitar. Just know that you don't want to put an under saddle pickup in it. It's just problematic, but there are options out there if you wanted to buy something like this and then have a pickup option in it. So
What would you put in here?
I'd probably put a lyric because it's very unobtrusive. We're talking about LR Baggs lyric. All it is a microphone. So it would work with this. You don't have to deal with any type of under saddle pickup, and yet it's going to pick up the sound of the guitar pretty well. So I have one of those in a custom guitar that I own, and I like it a lot.
One of these days, maybe in 2023, we'll do some real pickup, install, and comparisons, and because
Another good option would be
important to
something
know.
like K&K, soundboard
K&K.
transducer type thing.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
I-beam, K&Ks, those would be good too.
Yeah.
So.
So the problem is, so I just bought this guitar and I need to adjust the action. How do I?
Well, that's a good question because, and I'm glad you said action because a lot of people get it wrong. So what Cooper's alluding to is the fact that this guitar does not have an adjustable truss rod. Some people say it doesn't have a truss rod. That's not true. It has a truss rod. It actually has Martin's older T-bar style truss rod, which I think is a fantastic system in making the guitar very stable, the neck joint very stable. It's not going to move very much at all. The downside to it not being adjustable is that it's not adjustable. Now, adjustment of the truss rod does not, repeat after me, does not change the action of the guitar. It changes the relief in the neck. The action, which we talk about as like the height of the strings off the fretboard, is a combination of the nut slots, the height of the saddle, the angle of the neck to the bridge, as well as the relief of the neck. So a lot of people kind of go the cheating way and they just try to crank on the truss rod to bring action down. And that's not ideal because there's a lot of things that go into it. But yeah, this doesn't have an adjustable truss rod. And I think that's fine. You could still bring down the saddle if it was too high for you.
Yeah.
The action is really great out of the box.
The best part about it is it came right out of the case perfect.
Yeah,
So,
and it's very stable. And the thing that a lot of people don't talk about on adjustable truss rods is they're adjustable. That's kind of a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
So it's less stable than something like this.
Yeah.
So
I've seen a lot of people try to mess with it at home and throw it way out of whack. And
I mean, Martin and Taylor and Gibson, there was a time they put truss rod wrenches in the cases.
yeah,
And they stopped.
Yeah.
Because people would just go ham and just start cranking on truss
Yeah.
rods. So
well, it's a fantastic guitar, plays great. You can tell when I'm playing it that getting used to it, like based on the other things we're demonstrating today, this
Very
was
different, yeah.
very different, but produced the best sound of anything that I've played in a really long time. So check it out.
So there you have it. That is our review and demo of Martin's D-28 authentic 1937 guitar. And much like the D-18, I'm pretty smitten with this guitar. I think it's a winning formula. I think the construction choices that worked back then continue to work. I think that's why a lot of people gravitate to these styles of guitars. And let's be honest, there's a lot of guitar companies that owe their entire existence to Martin. A lot of their lineup is making new reference pieces of classic vintage Martins like this one. And there's a question that always hangs there for me, right? Not to take anything away from other companies that are doing fantastic jobs making great instruments, but if you want like a vintage style Martin, why wouldn't you just buy a vintage style Martin from Martin?
Yeah.
So I'm glad they produced this guitar. I'd like to see more. I just want to see that range continue to grow.
Yeah.
Of their authentic series. And yeah, if you're looking for something that is a vintage Martin that has that resonance and tone and lightness of build and everything, this is the guitar for you.
It's the one. Yeah.
Yeah. There's the old saying, they don't make them like they used to, but they do.
They do sometimes.
They do make them like they used to.
And if you had a real 1937, I would judge you very much for hitting the bar scene, playing that one live, but this one is perfect for taking the classic tone to the streets.
Not that this is like not like a.
This is a great coffee shop guitar. Fantastic coffee shop.
It's very expensive coffee. No,
in LA or something.
It is an expensive guitar, but it's worth it. And I play out with my expensive instruments. It kind of seems crazy. People call me crazy, but I think it's crazy to have that nice of a thing, and when you're performing, not play it.
Yeah.
So
just take care of it. It'll be fine.
Yeah. So yeah, if you have any questions about this guitar or other Martin guitars in the range that we carry, you want to go to our website, which is
alamomusic.com.
Got all like ready for it. I like that.
Prepared.
And you can find photos there. We have great staff taking wonderful photos. You can chat live with one of our associates, asking questions, comparison shop, get financing, all of that stuff on our website. But of course, we're a brick and mortar store. So please feel free to give us a call or come in anytime and we can help you find the right guitar to suit your needs. Because at the end of the day, the best guitar in the world
is from 1937, but new.
There you go.
Right? Yeah.
That's what I always say.
Yeah.
The best guitar in the world is from 1937 and 2022. If you're new to our channel, make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications, and like our videos. Keep coming back for more, and we'll see you next time.